Do you think it is better to be completely restrictive or to have frequent cheat meals, like one meal a week or one day a week where you go completely off the rails, or just to have a little bit of stuff that is an indulgence every single day? And I don't have a great answer for them other than there is no right answer here. And even for an individual, that might change.
Very simple. You have to have some form of restriction, but you should pick the form of restriction that feels least restrictive to you as an individual. What we know is that if you want to lose weight specifically, you are going to have to use some form of restriction, right? Whether it's calorie counting, points, carb restriction, fat restriction, unprocessed food, whatever. You're going to have to use fasting. You're going to have to use some form of restriction.
Right. Either some form of dietary restriction, calorie restriction, or time restriction. You have to do something there.
We'll make the success threshold really, really low. That's what I've done for my last 3 books, is 2 crappy pages per day. That's all I need. If I don't end up using them, that's fine. I just need to get out 2 crappy pages. If you're going to exercise, you're making a New Year's resolution, don't make it an hour a day, 4 times a week. No. 5 to 10 minutes at the gym, 3 times a week, plenty. And in all of those cases, you will feel successful because you've checked your box for success. And then very often you will exceed that for extra credit, right? You'll be like, well, I'm already at the gym, I'll go for an extra 10 minutes. Well, I'm already flossing my teeth, I'll do an extra 4. Well, I've already hit my 2 pages, but I'm feeling great and I'm in the flow. Maybe I'll do 10, maybe I'll do 20. But it prevents you from feeling like a failure. This is very, very important. That is what derails a lot of people.
It can reduce the postprandial blood sugar spike, which is a good thing for people looking to manage blood sugar, right?
Right. So if you consume vinegar either with your meal or after your meal, a meal especially high in starch, it can help decrease the blood glucose spike.
Yes.
From that meal.
Yeah. And this occurs via a sort of, there's an inverse dose effect, meaning the more vinegar you consume, the higher, the more potent this effect is.
Motivation and the chemistry of motivation is tightly wound in with the neurochemistry of movement. In fact, the same single molecule, dopamine, is responsible for our sense of motivation and for movement. Even though nerves controlling muscles, so again, these are nerves in the spinal cord or brain that move our limbs, the effector chemical there, the one that actually causes the muscles to twitch, to contract, is acetylcholine. In the brain, acetylcholine is responsible for focus. However, whether or not we move, whether or not we want to move, whether or not we have the desire to overcome barriers of, they could be social barriers or financial barriers or time constraints, that depends on this molecule we call dopamine. It's a fascinating molecule, and it lies at the center of so many great things in life. And it lies at the center of so many terrible aspects of life, namely addiction and certain forms of mental disease. So if ever there was a double-edged blade in the world of neuroscience, it's dopamine.
We think we go to the gym because we're concerned about fitness, we're determined, we exert willpower. So it feels like that's a good way to start to change our habits, right? Exert self-control, and our habits will then change. But it doesn't work that way. Our habits are stored in a memory system that we don't have access to, we can't fuss with. It's a way of securing the most important information and protecting it from change. And so there's no way you can change that habit memory except through repetition of other behaviors.